Now we must discuss the types of semantic components: denotation and connotation. The leading semantic component in the semantic structure of a word is termed denotative component, also the referential component. The denotative component expresses the conceptual content of a word. The list presents denotative components of some English adjectives and verbs. The denotative components of the adjective lonely are alone, without company. Of the adjectives notorious and celebrated, widely known. Of the verbs to glare and to glance, to look. Of the verbs to shiver and shudder, to tremble. It is quite obvious that the definitions given in the right-hand column only partially and incompletely describes the meanings of the corresponding words. To give a more or less full picture of the meaning of a word, it is necessary to include in the scheme of analysis additional semantic components, which are termed connotations or connotative components. And now let us complete the semantic structures of the words given above, introducing connotative components into the schemes of their semantic structures. As you remember, the denotative components of the adjective lonely are alone, without company, plus connotative components, melancholy, sad, which is emotive connotation. Denotative component of the adjective notorious is widely known, plus connotative component for criminal acts or bad traits of character. It is evaluative connotation, negative evaluative connotation. Denotative component of the adjective celebrated is widely known, plus connotative component for special achievements in science, art, etc. It is evaluative connotation, this time positive evaluative connotation. To glare is to look, plus connotative components, steadily, lastingly, in anger, in rage. It is connotation of duration and at the same time emotive connotation. To glance is to look, plus briefly, passingly. It is connotation of duration. To shiver is to tremble, plus lastingly, usually with cold. It is connotation of duration and at the same time connotation of cause. To shudder is to tremble, plus briefly, with horror, disgust, etc. It is connotation of duration and at the same time connotation of cause and emotive connotation. So the examples show how by singling out denotative and connotative components, one can get a sufficiently clear picture of what the word really means. The schemes presenting the semantic structures of glare, shiver, shudder also show that a meaning can have two or more connotative components. The given examples do not exhaust all the types of connotations, but present only a few: emotive, evaluative, of duration, and of cause. For a more detailed classification of connotative components of a meaning, we shall be dealing with during our coming meetings. And now let us discuss the problem of meaning and context. When we were speaking about such a linguistic phenomena as polysemy, we discussed advantages and disadvantages of it. One of the most important drawbacks, if it can be called so, of course, of polysemantic words is that there is sometimes a chance of misunderstanding when a word is used in a certain meaning but accepted by a listener or reader in another. It is only natural that such cases provide stuff of which jokes are made, such as the ones that follow. The customer tells the bookseller, "I would like a book, please." And the bookseller asks, "Something light?" And the answer of the customer is, "That doesn't matter, I have my car with me." In this conversation, the customer is honestly misled by the polysemy of the adjective light, taking it in the literal sense, whereas the bookseller uses the word in its figurative meaning, not serious, entertaining. And in the following joke, one of the speakers pretends to misunderstand his interlocutor, basing his angry retort on the polysemy of the noun kick. The critic started to live in the middle of the second play. "Don't go," said the manager. "I promise there is a terrific kick in the next act." "Fine," was the retort. "Give it to the author." So kick, means excitement, pleasurable excitement, which is an informal word. And the second meaning of this word is a blow with the foot. Generally speaking, it is common knowledge that context is a powerful preventative against any misunderstanding of meanings. For instance, the adjective dull, which has been already discussed by us, if you remember, if used out of context, would mean different things to different people, or it would mean nothing at all. It is only in combination with other words that it reveals its actual meaning, whether it's a dull pupil, a dull day, dull weather, and so on. Sometimes, however, such a minimum context fails to reveal the meaning of the word, and it may be correctly interpreted as a so-called second-degree context. For example, the man is large, but his wife is even fatter. So the word fatter here serves as a kind of indicator pointing that large describes a stout man and not a big one. So current research in semantics is largely based on the assumption that one of the most promising methods of investigating the semantic structure of a word is by studying the word's linear relationships with other words in typical contexts. In other words, its combinability or collocability.